All right. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Bear. This is my channel, PoGo Heroes. And just like in the anime where the heroes go on amazing adventures, you're the hero of this story. I'm here as your guide for everything Pokemon Go. Today, I've got a little bit of a different video going. I found an article that I thought I would share with you all, kind of share my thoughts on it. And it's just about some of the closed looped systems that are going on in Pokemon Go. In particular, some of the issues with Dynamax and Gigantamax, their systems, the gameplay loop there, and some of my thoughts on some potential solutions. So if you like that kind of content, please like and subscribe. So let's go ahead and dive in here. So I thought that this guy, I'm not going to read it word for word. I'm just going to kind of summarize what we're looking at here. And I thought what he did a really good job of portraying is how the game up until Dynamax and Gigantamax was basically you could just pick up and play the game. It was very soloable. If there were 5-star raids, you could do them remotely. Pokemon are exclusively locked behind it. If there was Shadow Mewtwo, there would still be a regular Mewtwo raid day. If there was a Shadow Ho-Oh raid day, there would also be a regular Ho-Oh. Versus now with Dynamax and Gigantamax, it's exclusive to larger groups. And obviously you can do some of the lower level Dynamax, but if you want a Gigantamax Blastoise, you can't do that by yourself. You need a group of at least 12 or so to do it. It's no longer the case that you can just kind of do things on your own. You can just pick up the game and play. You can no longer access all of the game that way. Now, there's more and more Pokemon are being released as locked behind this arbitrary, local-only progression systems. And so I thought that was a really good way to describe what this game has become. Let's start off with Shadow Raids, because this is the first time that this closed loop system where you can't just do it by yourself. It's closed off if you're rural, it's closed off if you're in a small group. You need a big group to do it. And so it became this problem where you have to plan ahead to be able to do these raids. So if you and your buddy are out grabbing lunch, you can't just do a shadow raid. Your buddy and you had better been doing and fighting Team Rocket battles leading up to that moment. So there's all this pre-planning involved. Hey, do you want to do this 5-star shadow raid? No, I can't. Why not? Oh, well, this week I didn't fight enough Team Rocket grunts. It feels kind of silly, but if you want to do something spur of the moment, as far as these purified gems go, you can't do it. You have to plan way ahead. And then I think it speaks to the idea of a local community. So if you're like me and your community is not too big, then you're going to struggle with these. I know that I was able to do a couple of Gigantamax raids, literally 4 since Gigantamax has been released. And that's because we had almost everyone in the community show up. If they hadn't shown up, if a handful had been missing, then we would not have been able to do it. And so I think that to me seems broken, that you can't play this game by yourself because you can't get that Pokemon. You want a Gigantamax Gengar? You can't get it by yourself. Sorry. You have to have the community. And so there's aspects of the game that you can do by yourself, but you can't do the whole game by yourself, which to me is broken and just needs to be addressed. There should be soloable solutions for this. And I think I understand at least part of the reason why they're wanting to do that is that people are more likely to play your game if they experience things together. I get that. And then also, you don't want people to burn through your content too fast. And this is a way to gatekeep that. But I think there's other gatekeeping methods and methods of playing with other people where it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be locked behind a group of 12 or more locally. And then he breaks it down. He talks about World of Warcraft and how the same gameplay mechanic was used over and over. Not this one in Pokemon Go, but how Blizzard kind of recycled some of their gameplay mechanics and gimmicks and things like that. And while that's true in Pokemon Go, I think the excitement there is still in the uniqueness of catching that hundo. So at a high level, the new features require a good amount of planning. I have to use a lot of resources, a lot of Stardust, which if you don't have enough, too bad. You should have gotten enough Stardust the other days ago. don't have enough candy. Should have got enough candy days ago, because now it's too late. It's the day of and you can't even participate because of the time constraints. In my opinion, they should reduce the number of purified gems or other required resources and provide alternative ways to acquire them. And then also allowing newer players to participate in some form or fashion without extensive planning. I think that they technically can participate, but it's not in a meaningful way. And so I think that those are solutions for accessing these in-game features, these in-game PvE features. I think that there could still be solo playable options for 5-star raids. Now hear me out. You just reduce the IV floor. So if you do it with 5 or more people, you can max out the IV floor at 12, 12, 12. But if I want to do it, if I want to solo it would be cool that if I could do that, and as a result, the IV floor is just lowered. I think that would be an acceptable solution. Or maybe the chance to catch it is reduced, right? So you do this raid, and if there's normally an 80% catch rate for this Pokemon, because you soloed it, now it's down to a 20% or something like that. I think that would also be acceptable. Let's see. Another idea I had, I'm sorry, I'm looking over here because I've taken notes on this article and kind of my thoughts on it, is to consider implementing AI teammates. So in the mainline games, if you've ever played Sword and Shield, you had AI teammates. Same thing with Scarlet and Violet. When you do raids, terror raids, they have AI teammates. That would be another way to overcome it. In fact, you could potentially monetize that. I hate to say that, but you got to speak to the shareholders here. You're not talking to the game dev designers. You're talking to the shareholders. So I think if they wanted to monetize that, what you would do is create AI partners that you could team up with. And this might be venturing into other intellectual properties territory, but how cool would it be if you could have Ash Ketchum as an AI partner, right? You could level him up. That could be a whole new game loop. And so you have Ash Ketchum as an AI partner that shows up for you, or Team Rocket, or Team Magma, or all of these famous, they have lots of characters that they could pull from. And if they can't go that specific, they could still go vague. Imagine you have the fisherman, or the swimming trainer, or the bug trainer, or these kind of more vague NPCs that you could pull in and level up and have help you do these raids soloable. I think that could be a great gameplay loop that still allows you to play it if you don't have a big community. In-game communication tools, they technically have Campfire, but they need to implement the messaging system and connect it directly inside of the app. So the messaging could technically still live in Campfire. They just need, under the friends, when you look at your friend, if they've sent you a message, there should be an icon there notifying you in the app. Click that, and boom, it opens the Campfire message with your friend's message right there. That easy. Or alternatively, there should be a send message, and you could, if you're best friends or super friends or whatever, you could send a message to your friend saying, hey, we're lucky friends. Do you want to meet up? Are you free this Saturday to meet up for a trade? Or coordinating for these bigger events would be something that you would be able to click on and manipulate inside of the Pokemon Go app itself. Even if you do use Campfire as the app to do the messaging, you could still have a lot more of that interaction inside the Pokemon Go app itself. And the problem that would solve is coordinating these groups. I mean, I think, so the goal of this game for the shareholders is to make money and to create repeat customers, right? You don't just want to make a ton of money and then the game burn out and no longer be profitable. You want it to be profitable over time. And so I think that there's ways to do this and still give everyone access to all the content, even if you don't have a group of 12 that you can play with, or if your schedule doesn't permit that. A lot of it isn't even rural. It's just people have jobs and they can't go out and play. So a way to do this would be with the ticketing system that's already built. You could pay to have access to a Gigantamax encounter and have it be a part of the story, right? There's almost no story to Pokemon Go. Bringing in characters, I think a good game that does a masterful job of this is Hearthstone. Hearthstone, you can pay for a campaign essentially, and you can carry through the story and it's cheeky and it's funny, and you could do it very much similar to that. And at the end, you have access to a Gigantamax, whatever. Here's the core of it all: is balancing these events, balancing this stuff so that the events and the mechanics that reward both team-based and solo play equally. I think that's the biggest thing. In other words, providing meaningful incentives for players who aren't playing in groups. And I think that this could help reduce a lot of the division between solo players and group players in the game. And I have other thoughts too on how to drastically improve Pokemon Go. All of it is what I think would drive the bottom line, because the reality is that people who own and make this game, they're doing it with the intent of creating value for their users, us, such that we're willing to spend money, i.e. they're doing it for the money. And that's okay. This isn't a charity. But I do think that there's ways that you can increase the value for the player and thus make lots and lots of more money. All right, so that's it for this video. Just more of my thoughts and opinions and feelings on the Gigantamax, Dynamax, Shadow Raid mechanics, those closed loop groups, and how you could open it up to have it be accessible to more people. Because I think at the end of the day, more people equals more money. If I've got what you want to do as a product manager is you want to have your ads, your advertisements come from your user base, and they are your biggest cheerleaders. How did you hear about this game? How did you play about this game? It was so much fun that everyone's talking about it. It was so much fun that all my friends were doing it, so I jumped into. That's how you get actual return on your investment. Let me know if you like this kind of content. I am going to do a few more before I close the lid on it. If you guys just let me know what you think, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much.